common enemy from history.
So if you have to pick the biggest problem, the biggest obstacle to overcome to be successful, what would you say it is?
Like successful as a group,
Like to be like
us?
okay, I'm not oppressed anymore. If you have to pick one thing.
I gotta think about being in an instance where I truly feel oppressed. Like, I understand, like, according to society, I'm labeled as like being in an oppressed group. But myself personally, I have yet to have actually been oppressed. I've experienced racism.
Well, are you oppressed, Mike?
I think I was living in it, but I never was a part of it.
What does it feel like to be oppressed?
When you feel you have no options, you feel that bad choices is the only choices. You feel that gun is the way of life. You feel things that is normal when the outside everyone else out there, that's not normal. You get what I'm saying? So normal,
you think so you said we feel like only bad options are the only options. The gun is the way of life. Live by the gun, die by the gun type stuff. Do you think that when you get to a point where you're making those decisions, or when you get to the point where you know you're oppressed, is that more of a blinded oppression, or it's a I know I'm oppressed, like you know?
I think it's both.
Think it's both.
I think it's both because it's about what they believe in, what they see, and what's around them, right? And that's what can give you hope. Because when you see a new light or a new door open up in your lifetime, you're gonna be like, I can do this, or they got out in another way. Like he went this way to do it. Let me try it. You know?
And who are you oppressed by?
Who I'm impressed by?
Yeah, who's oppressing you?
I said I lived in.
Oh well, who is doing the oppressing? Who are the oppressors?
You can speak for yourself, but I thought you were gonna mention in that specific instance with the officer, you probably felt oppressed.
Yeah, when the gun was pointed at me, that could be one.
So when people say that black people are oppressed, like what does that mean?
So truthfully, what I get from it, cause everybody have their different. We've been behind the 8 ball for a while, and we trying to catch up, and it's basically our way of saying, hey, they too far ahead, and it's feeling like forever. We might not never get a chance to catch up to that race or that group or that whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like I told you a long time ago, I saw the video online where they had hundreds of people lined up, and they was like, if you have both parents in your house, take a step forward. And if you had over 100K in your account when you was little, your parents, so if you live in a mansion, step forward, but like all this, and you had like hundreds of people like in different race in front of black people, and black people like barely took 3 steps. If that.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And then it was like run to the finish line,
right.
and that's what they mean by oppressed.
Right.
It's like even though we humans. But your race was way different than me. You had like a 20-spot lead.
So, do you think that has something to do with their literal skin color, or what?
Yes.
Does it have something to do with their skin color?
Definitely back because of slavery and.
Wait. So how does slavery affect them not having 2 parents in the house?
Huh?
How did slavery affect them not having 2 parents in the house?
Well, number one, your daddy might got sold off to back to
the kids that did that thing were not slaves.
No, you're asking.
No, I'm saying
it's a one word answer. It's history.
But no, you just asked me how slavery
affected those kids in that video not having any parents. Slavery was 250 years ago.
So you're asking
that video was
history,
recent.
Right? I was about to go up the history line, but you stopped me at the slavery. But people didn't have both parents in slavery. The parents got sold off. They couldn't read and write back then. That's another reason why they behind. Also, we wasn't when they let us out. They didn't give us our reparations. So we had to start from the bottom. It's a difference. Like every other country get I think somebody just got recognition like 2 years ago from us. Some Indians or somebody got it, and it's like the fuck. We built this country.
So them separating the slave families.
That's just one thing.
That's one thing. Then reading and writing, that's another thing. Then not being taught how to live and stuff. We have to figure everything out on our own. And then when we start figuring shit out, then it's like, oh yeah, it's white water fountain, it's black water fountain, it's black restaurants, it's white restaurants. You're like, every time we get back against somewhere, they go, oh, slow down, nigga, hold on, boom.
So
now, I don't want to go on a tangent, but I think in that moment, if we stay separate, we will be even further than we are right now.
So we were separate and we were further, and they did have both their parents. So again, how does slavery stop that kid from having both his parents?
So
stop those black kids.
When we get to
you said slavery.
Well,
and
we were further.
You said education and water fountains, but what does that have to do with his parents?
We were further, but we were still behind.
Those kids. What does that have to do with those kids' parents in that very recent video?
History has led us to a position where the father the father is out of the household either because they in jail, they on drugs, or they just absent.
Okay, so with history, did they choose to do drugs?
Now we going in a circle.
Did they choose to do drugs? Did they commit a crime and get thrown in the jail?
In some instances, they chose to. In some others, they felt they were forced to survive.
How do you force them to doing drugs?
If I can't get a job, and
sorry, I thought you were referring to like selling.
No, I mean, yeah, you can get booked for selling too.
Yeah,
but you selling drugs, you chose to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
You doing drugs,
survive.
you chose to do it. I mean, whether it's to survive or just get some money, you could.
Yeah, this just goes back to like being empathetic towards somebody in that scenario,
right? And that's the morals. They have the morals. So again,
we're gonna lead back to the oppression question.
Those kids didn't have two parents. You telling me that he didn't have two parents because of slavery, because of the crack epidemic, because of blacks and whites only fountain?
That's why I tried to sum it up.
Segregation stopped. Segregation put all black people in the same community. How did that stop him from having both his parents?
That's right. I tried to sum it up with history.
No. I got him. It's cool. So once again, we go back to the school system. We reading 40-year-old books while they reading up-to-date books. How that's not giving them the lead and holding us back.
It's not.
So us reading books 40 years ago, facts about 40 years ago, which it upgraded and it changed, and they got new and better. How that's not holding us back?
Facts are facts. Truth is truth. Whether it's 50